Today I'm going to show you the 4 primary tools that if you want to up your game in chainsaw art that you might want to consider. Last week I gave you the basics. If you wanted to get started quick, easy, cheap, and you just wanted to try it, and I promised you this week that I would go into the next higher level tools that would really make this special if you want to do it long term or if you want to do a lot of it. So let's jump right in, and the first one is a nicer chainsaw. Maybe it's over here. A nicer chainsaw. One of the ones I got is this Echo. It's a CS620P, and it is designed for heavy blocking. This is for bucking to cut the logs to size. It is for cutting off those big chunks so that you maybe want a big foundation, but your sculpture is a lot smaller and you need a lot of power to get through some stuff quickly. The next one I have is also Echo. This is a CS3510, and I got this one because it's really lightweight. You see, it doesn't take a lot. Fully oiled up and gassed up, I think it weighs 9 pounds. So the purpose for this was something that I could hold in my hands and I could use it for hours on end. And this one I equipped with about $300 worth of special stuff. I had to change the sprocket and put on a special bar and chain because I wanted this dime tip out here, little bitty. Let me get up close here where you can see how small that is. Little bitty tip. And what that's for is getting into smaller spaces where you can carve better. And you could do it yourself for less. I think the kit was about $180, but I wasn't at that time ready to learn enough about the saw to swap out the sprocket, to get the tools that I needed. I think there's some springs in there. So altogether, it cost me about $300 to get it outfitted from a regular CS3510 into this handy dandy super special chainsaw carving saw. Chainsaw art carving saw. I don't think you want to carve a chainsaw with a chainsaw. So what do I know about other saws? Well, not a lot. I get arguments from people pretty regularly that you should have started with Husqvarna, I should have started with steel. I don't know, maybe so. But some stuff to consider when you're buying a saw. For me, especially if you're new, now if you're a small engine mechanic, buy whatever you want, it doesn't make any difference. But what I had to go off of, at least 3 things. I was thinking price. I didn't want bottom of the barrel and I didn't want the most expensive. And I was able to find the 2 saws that I needed here. Each of these were about $600 out of the box a piece. And that's kind of a moderate price for a professional saw. The second thing that I was really interested in is I had to make sure that in the line of saws, all the different sizes, that there was a big one that was big enough to do almost everything, and there was a little one that was small enough to do almost everything, because I didn't want to have 4 or 5 saws for all the different types of things. And then third thing that I was really interested in was being next to a dealer. I wanted to be able to simply drive down, and my dealer here is about 20 minutes away, so I literally just drive over there and say, saw's sick, or my saw died. And sometimes I can fix it. I'm learning some stuff. But if it's really bad, or particularly if I'm really tired, I just take it over there and let them fix it and get me back going. So that was the reason that I chose Echo, but it has been a good choice. Product number 2. What would you consider if you were going to stick around in this like I did? And that is an angle grinder. Now, I bought the Flex because it was on sale and it's turned out to be a good deal. And I wanted you to see these 2 different grinding wheels. See, this one right here has some really savage teeth on it, and it's actually painful for me to hold it like this because they're poking into my fingers. And then there's the standard sandpaper wheel. This one is 40 grit, but I think I have 60s and 80s depending on what I want to do. This is a 4.5 inch wheel. I like to keep the smallest wheel I can possibly get for getting into smaller spots. And I use these all of the time. I actually use this tool on every project, and I would recommend 2 batteries. So let me show you what I did. So this one came with it, and I bought this one. It's double the power and length of this one. So my idea is that this one would be charging or already charged while I'm out there using this one. Then when this one dies, I can put this one in and it will last long enough for this one to actually charge. Now, if you get that in reverse order, it might not quite work right because you need something that will last long enough for the other one to get charged. And so this has been a good secret for me. Now, if you've got the money and you want to just buy two 5s. But that is the angle grinder, and I'm very happy with my choice to get a flex. Tool number 3 that you might consider if you're going to do this for long term is a rotary tool and some good bits. So like this one, this is a Dremel. I bought the 8260. It just came out when I bought it, and it was expensive, but it came with a lifetime guarantee. And since I knew I was going to be really rough on them for a long time, I went for the longer, tougher, heavy-duty one. Then some comments about bits. I don't know if you can see this or not. I hope so. It is one fierce bit. And you can get them coarser, but they're expensive. And so I bought one trying to get like, middle of the road, just like I did with my chainsaws. And then I bought this set, and these weren't too bad. Bought this set of bits here, and they give me some variety, and they do a pretty good job of removing material too. So the idea behind this is you've got something really rugged that will tear a bunch of material off fast if that's what you need, but it also has the capacity to change the speed, and you can be really gentle and get in some, pretty adjustments if that's what you need. So this was tool number 3, and I actually have 2 of these, and this worked out so cool because when I killed this one, the first one I got, and I called Dremel and I said, I do this for a living. What am I going to do? And they said, oh, no problem. We'll ship you another one. It'll be a lower model, and we'll just send it to you right now. I was like, oh, thank you very much. And boom, I did. It was like a day or two, I got it in the mail. And I had to return this one, but they fixed it and sent it back and then didn't ask for the other one back. So it was like, wow, I really like these people. So it was a good deal. I now have 2 of these, and so I keep one charging while I'm using the other one. And they're different models, but they still basically do the same thing for what I need them for. And again, every project I use a rotary tool of some kind. Doesn't have to be a Dremel, but this is what I've used, and it's worked out really good for me. And tool number 4. This is an amazing doohickey. I didn't know these things existed until I was watching other people do chainsaw art. And this is called a finger sander. You see, it's like a finger, and instead of sticking like sandpaper finger and sticking it in those little spots, you've got this dude. And it is varying speeds. And these people, they're funny. Their commercial is Remember When? The name of it is When, W-E-N. It does a fun play on words. Again, I don't have anything to compare it to. It's the only one I bought. And like almost everything else I buy, I generally don't buy the cheapest. I get like a level up, sometimes even more than that, depending on how long I think I'm going to use it, whether or not they'll replace it or repair it if I kill it. And so you just kind of have to weigh those things out depending on how much you think you're going to use the tool. So this is a Wen, and it's a finger sander, and it's number 4 that I use on every carving, day in, day out, whenever I'm carving. This is tool number 4. And now for the bonus. These are the silly things that I use on every carving that you may not think of. Those are chainsaw art tools? What? Okay, so the first one is very funny. And it doesn't have any chalk in it at the moment because I used it all up, but I wanted you to see my yard art chalk holder, and I think this is Paw Patrol. Isn't that cute? It's a real manly piece of chainsaw art there, huh? My voice really low while I tell you about my child's toy. So the reason for this is because most of the time you're going to have to turn your saw off and think. Look at your sculpture. You're going to have to decide, where do I have too much stuff? And I don't want to spend a lot of time walking around my sculpture with a chainsaw in my hand and just thinking. So I set it down, turn it off, and then I chalk the thing up all over the place. I want to take a little bit off of here. I'll put some off over here. I'll get my template back out and carve around the head or something and say, okay, that's with my chalk. And then I pick the saw back up and cut some more. So chalk, chalk, chalk all the time. And I just thought it was funny that I use a Paw Patrol chalk holder for that. And then this is another really crazy, who'd have thunk it was a tool for a chainsaw artist. This is a tool from a quilt maker's setup. Somebody who makes quilts. And you can see this cool pattern here on the end. Let me get it up here. You see all of the crisscrosses and the different angles, and then you can see through it. And then on this end, this is really cool. See how it has that hook on it? So whenever I have my, my stump blocked a little bit, I can hang this on it, and then I can measure down to literally a number of inches, and I can see through it, mark it on both sides. And it just has been an amazingly popular tool for me, and I use it, again, I would say every time. It's just so beneficial to the process. Now, 3 more, and these, you might have thought about these. This one is a mallet, and this is an old chisel. I don't use a sharp one for this because it has a tendency to really stick into the wood and tear up your design. But when you're cutting, and let's say you cut down this way, and then you turn your saw at 90 degrees and you come in, and the chunk doesn't come out, but you don't know where the problem is, and you don't want to tear into your sculpture. So then I get my mallet and I get my old chisel and I start whacking around in there until I find the spot where it's connected. And then sometimes, and I have a 2-pound sledge also, you can just give it a mighty whack from a couple of different angles and that chunk will fly out of there, and you won't damage your sculpture by playing around in there with your saw. And then, last but not least, you want to be able to see what you're doing. So I use this, and it's a car wash brush. This one I think was designed for hubcaps, to get the nasty off the hubcaps, because it's, hello bug, to get the nasty off of the hubcaps because it's really stiff. And I use this, but I also have a air compressor, and I keep an air hose on the end of it, but you can't take that with me. So if I'm carving on the road, I'm on somebody's property and carving, I always take a brush so that I can get the stuff off of there and see what in the world I'm doing. And I have a really soft bristle one too, which is also super helpful. As I get down into finer details and I don't really want to hit it too hard with this one, I'll use that soft brush. But man, when I'm home, I love my air compressor hose, and I keep it hanging somewhere nearby, and I'll cut for a while and, you know, hang my saw safely to the side and then carve some more, because I really like to be able to see what I'm doing. So there you go. These are the 4 primary new tools that you will need if you want to stay at this for a while. You want to do it for a long time. You're going to need a high quality saw. You're going to need some kind of angle grinder. You're going to need a rotary tool, and you're going to need some kind of sander, and I recommend the finger sander. And then the crazy fun little tools, things that help make it easier, help make you know where you're going and how to draw better. Things that help you keep from damaging your sculpture, things to help you see better. So use your imagination and dream up stuff that might be chainsaw art tools. And if you want to see the video that told you how to get started cheap, maybe you're not here yet and you don't want to do all this stuff. But if you want to get started cheap, fast, and easy, I'm going to put a video in one of these corners here, and you can watch that to see how to get started. Thanks for watching. God bless.